Westworld. From Westworld. Let's get it. Don't be sure, tell them make sure. If not, we gon' make more. Clips say it hold 20, but I think it could take more. Grab a stick, fire on your camp, we gon' make s'mores. I ain't satisfied with my spot, then I'ma take yours. No matter how many roadblocks in my way, I'ma break forward. This path I'm on is so damn narrow, I just stay forward. Put them on my plate, I'm never full, I just ate more. Put them on my plate, I'm never full, give me 8 more. Nigga, I don't sugarcoat shit, bitch, I'm straightforward. Don't give a fuck if they don't let me in, I just break doors. Ballin' so hard, they asking what team that I play for. Scammer who? They ain't stopped making guns when they made yours. Sick with it, feeling like I woke up with stage 4. They ain't want the beast loose, what they opened up the cage for. Endure the pain, been through hard times is what I'm made for. Paid my dues, never left a wage, I just rage war. So many chains and gold teeth, it's the blood of a slave. Sit on a throne with a gold crown from the blood of a slave. This is our world, got it from the mud to the grave. Become a thing in the past, don't be a story in my page.
Stood against all enemies. In high school, you was the man that's lost memory shit. Lost energy, never lost my energy. Never lose control, never losing, dog, I plan to keep. You lose your mind where I'm from, I ain't talking from what you see. I never lost soul, losing times, wasting steady pacing. You off track, I'm on that. You pray to God, hoping he can save you. But there's power by war, and that's a different angle. This another lost cause, and I'm just adding to the list. They not seeing me for that reason, got a flash on the grip. Nigga, big priest, they gon' judge me by my increase. And I'ma keep stepping in these joys to the increase. Just got off the phone with Jacob, and he said it's time to shine. Certified, blue dot, put it on you, now you verified. One West world, bigger than World War III. Do not sleep, it's not cheap, and it's still top 3.
So many chains and gold teeth, it's the blood of a slave. Sit on a throne with a gold crown from the blood of a slave. This is our world, got it from the mud to the grave. Become a thing in the past, don't be a story in my page.
Came on boats and then chains, so when I get rich, I'ma grab a boat and 10 chains with 12 ribs from each tribe. And each rib gonna have at least 3 kids. Yeah, I'ma have a deep squad. Been rapping since knee high, now a nigga shack size. Spit that holy fire, when you hear it, you get baptized. One West world, yeah, you niggas know the logo. And I'ma bust it down so the haters see the globe glow. Let's have a feast, let's shine on our enemies. Right in they face, let's blind all our enemies. Cause now we have, but we come from half not. Throw that cash on the ground, my nigga, let's cast lots. I started from the bottom, birthed out of mud, raised by gangsters, turned out a thug. I ain't give a fuck, burnt out I was, from hitting licks in and out and selling nicks in the drop.
So many chains and gold teeth, it's the blood of a slave. Sit on a throne with a gold crown from the blood of a slave. This is our world, got it from the mud to the grave. Become a thing in the past, don't be a story in my page.
Okay.
There's a king that's coming back to save our people. Now we should be preparing ourselves for the return of our king, not stuck up in these denominations and religions that's destroying our people and destroying our nation.
So when we are in this kingdom and our brother and sister is doing wickedly in this kingdom, we must tell them, look, the world is expecting you to stay docile, to stay stupid.
That's what Christianity teaches our people. Teaches our people to hate one another and love the oppressor. Like, we'll never forgive one another for anything that another brother or sister do to us, but we'll forgive the oppressor in a heartbeat. There's something wrong with that, man.
Imagine living your life as a whole Christian your whole life, and life's good because you're a Christian and Jesus is white and everything's going great, and there's a landslide and the earth opens up and you go downstairs and you walk through this place and you see a black Jesus, man. Why is Jesus Christ black with an afro in the catacombs, man? This predates the Renaissance period.
So when you read the book of Genesis, the trees in the garden with other nations, a leaf, what is a leaf to a tree? Cover the tree. So Adam took the covering of another nation. What's the covering of another nation? Their culture. So when the Most High saw him, say, yo, Adam, where are you, man? Where are you? Don't mean I can't find you. He was like, who is this nigga? Like that. Where are you, man? I don't know you.
Okay. So the Ba al Banya Yasha'ala wa Amarath al Ham wa Idya Yahau. The Ba means speak. al, when it's joined with something, so al banya means what? Unto, right? Excellent. So al, when it's joined with something, means unto. Banya means children. Yasha'ala is Israel. So unto the children of Israel.
Like if it's one thing a hoe gonna do, a hoe gonna hold. But you ain't, she can't hold if there's nobody to hold with. And the thing she said at the end, where she said, I went back and I lied to him and he still wouldn't do it. And then she threw up her hands and she said, well, he'll just be a brother. That's what the fuck we need.
That's
brothers.
right.
If we have more brothers, hoes like her wouldn't have no outlet.
There was a man in the land of Oz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright.
There you go, the man called Job. I think Job is what, like, afflicted. And that man was perfect and upright, meaning what? You can be perfect, man. Job was a man like everybody else, man. Job wasn't no angel, he didn't come from the heavens. And that man was perfect, meaning what? You can be perfect in the Bible. Being perfect is in the Bible.
Had friends on my coattail way before Jimmy. Funny how the general ain't even see a penny. Better show respect, get smoked like a chimney. Keep my name out your mouth, don't even think it. Send a real Smith at y'all, no Jada Pinkett. Both ball heads, my grain above 50. Lost my man to the game, that pain that stuck with me. Had to find a cheat code to the street though, cause them niggas getting foul, shoot you like a free throw. Keep spitting acid like a Mino, and the nigga be the nicest with a mean flow.
Let's get it. I just float with it. Fuck what you did, I'm at your throat with it. You can learn something, take a note with it. Dedicated my life, I took an oath with it. For the blood of my brothers, we don't do no switching. I run with who I run with, ain't no clicking. Try me, do you done with no decision. Lead a scene like a Mack truck with 4 collisions. Pose everywhere, but they ain't gon' vote dissing. Coming at you live and direct, I don't do no dissing.
Hey, shalom, Israel, shalom, Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shabarakat to my brothers, Yahweh Shema, Alatham, Shem Yahweh Shai to my sisters. I hope y'all is Tawab. I hope y'all is doing good. Welcome to Real Time Revelations, the show with myself, Officer 500 Ra'al, by the show I do every Monday and every Thursday, bringing out the latest topics in the UK, letting you know what's going on, letting you know the destruction that is coming to the UK and just all over the world. Tonight's story, I mean, good night. I mean, over the past few episodes, like a few episodes ago, I covered this story in real heavy detail, just the absolute scandal going on with the Church of England right now, which is, I mean, to nobody's surprise. To nobody's surprise that there's this scandal going on, because damn near the Church of England, or Christianity as a whole, and child abuse, they just go hand in hand. Like it's like you can't have one without the other. Like, damn near, you can't have the Church of England without being molested as a child, and you can't have child molestation without Christianity. Like, they just damn near go hand in hand. It's a perfect unison. And of course, I say that in jest. There's nothing perfect about the Christian church at all. But we're going to get into this story tonight. Shalom to everybody that's on the live. I see, of course, Kayala, Shalom Princess, Yahweh Shema, Allah Shem Yahweh Shai. We got Gabara Math, a shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. Make sure y'all drop a like on the video, drop a comment. I want to see these comments filled up, man. Drop some emojis, drop some fire emojis, some exclamation marks. Do what you had to do, all right? But shalom to everybody that's on the live, on the TikTok, on the YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you at, make sure you drop in comments, like the video, share the video, do what you have to do. All right, so before we get into the story, matter of fact, let me see. Now I put this out as a promo on our social medias. With this video, I'm gonna share real quick. If I switch to this one, it should show I can switch to this view. This video, right? This comes recently as the Archbishop of Canterbury. The Archbishop of Canterbury resigned from his position. For anybody who doesn't know what the Archbishop of Canterbury is, or what that role is, that is the top position in the whole of the Church of England, right? The Archbishop of Canterbury, which was Justin Welby, had just resigned on Monday. And the reason he resigned was due, of course, it's the Church of England, of course, it's due to a sex abuse scandal, right? So we're gonna get into this story. We're gonna play this video. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong one. This one right here. We're gonna play this video and get into what this story is about. Shalom to Trooper Gabaya Allah Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrakatah. Appreciate you tuning in. All right, so let's get this story, right? Let's play it.
Justin Welby will officially step down as the Archbishop of Canterbury.
All right, let's slow this down. Slacky. All right, let's go. Regular speed.
Justin Welby will officially step down as the Archbishop of Canterbury later today. He announced he was giving up the role in November after a review found he could and should have formally reported decades of abuse of men and young boys by the Christian camp leader John Smythe. Our correspondent John Ray.
So of course he's standing down as the Archbishop of Canterbury, the top position. The top position of the Church of England is resigning, is hanging it up, right? And why is he hanging it up? Because he failed where he could and should have stopped one of the most prolific child abusers in the history of the Church of England. He could and should have stopped this man, but he did nothing, of course, because the whole institution is full of child abusers. So why would you stop? Why would you stop another child abuser? That's the pot. That's the what is it? The kettle calling the pot black, or the pot calling the kettle black. Whatever the phrase is, you know, you're not gonna stop something that you are yourself. Like at least I can't even say that. I was gonna say at least they're not hypocritical in that, but they absolutely are hypocritical in that, of course. Because when somebody gets caught, they all like, oh, it's terrible. I didn't know anything about this. This person should be condemned. Meanwhile, they knew everything about it. And I'm sure they were also involved. They were involved in the cover-up, and we're going to get into these stories. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and read articles and stuff, but I do have videos which cover the stories in real good detail of what this situation is we're talking about. And, of course, it's going to break the whole thing down. The videos ain't too long because, of course, we have even more on the topic. We have even more that we have to cover about the Church of England because it is collapsing as we speak. The whole institution is just collapsing right now, and that's Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shai to the Most High, like that is Most High in Christ. The Bible says, I'm gonna get this scripture right here. The Bible says, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of stronghold." Now, the ISUPK, we've been speaking against Christianity and the vile things that go on in that Christian church since 1969. In order to stop Christianity, we don't, you don't go into a Christian church like your oppressor does and just get to, letting it spray. The spraying, some AK-47 up in the church. That's not how and that's nothing to do with stopping Christianity. That's just because the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. But of course, if you want to show the wickedness of Christianity and bring this thing down, because this institution just absolutely needs to be brought to rubble and just crumble and just pass away, right? But the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. We speak against this, and we reveal the lies and the hypocrisy. We reveal the perversion of the Christian church, and the Most High will pull down that stronghold. The Church of England, which is absolutely a stronghold, is currently being pulled down and thwarted to the Most High for this, man. All right, so I'm going to get back to the video. We're going to play on just an overview of what happened on Monday. So just a few days ago. We're going to cover what happened. Oh, so I had to change the video back. All right, here we go.
Leader John Smythe. Our correspondent John Ray is at Lambeth Palace. John, the final day of duties, but all behind closed doors.
Yeah, and in contrast to the very public role that Justin Welby has played for the past 12 years or so, his last day will be intensely private. There is a Eucharist service this lunchtime, evensong later this afternoon, after which we are told he will lay down his crozier, which is the official staff of office that bishops carry. And then tonight, that will be the end of his stint as Archbishop of Canterbury. It is also his 69th.
So, although his role and all the glory he received as the top position of the Church of England as a leader of Christianity and faith and God and this and that and the third, although his role as the Archbishop was very public, it was very public and very glorified and very honored by the people, his resignation is very quiet. It's very quiet, and nobody damn near knows. But I didn't even know about it, and I covered the story that he was resigning. I didn't even know when he resigned because no news story really covered it. It was behind closed doors. Like even this footage they showing now, this is not footage of the him resigning. This they had to pull footage from previous from just previous interactions or previous videos because the whole thing was just all behind closed doors because that's just how your oppressor is. Your oppressor, he'll take all the glory and he'll take all the praise and the glory in public, but when it comes to his shame is all the way behind closed doors. All the way behind closed doors. And then even in his resignation, now he resigned at the age of 69. So all the things that he was responsible for allowing to happen, allowing the most prolific child abuser in the history of the Church of England to continue to abuse children. And then that wicked and vile oppressor he was never brought to justice. And of course we don't get into the story, but he was never brought to justice and ended up being unalived of old age. This man is the age of 69 and he's resigning, he's hanging it up. Like, this is just retirement. When the oppressor gets exposed or says he's gonna resign for this, it's like it's always found when he's in his old age and he's about to retire anyway. So like what's the there's no actual real punishment for this. He was just like, okay, I got caught, I covered up this story, I didn't help, I didn't do anything to stop the most prolific child abuser in the history. I didn't do anything to stop it. He's very likely guilty of child abuse himself. But when it comes to him getting caught, he just hangs it up. He just retires. The oppressor just retires. You get thrown in prison. If you're a Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, you absolutely get thrown in prison. You get the buck thrown at you. You get the damn death sentence for something you didn't even do. Your oppressor just retires. He just retires. He goes on paid leave. He gets suspended on paid leave. Like he just retires and that's it. He just retires or gets put on suspended leave and gets paid. Your oppressor is never really brought to justice because we live in an unjust society. Like if he is guilty of covering up these stories, and we're gonna get into another person in a very high, like the head of the Church of England and the second in command are both guilty of the same thing with some of the most vile and prolific child abusers. And if this and both of them are guilty of not doing anything to stop it and of covering it up. And if that is true, should they not also be arrested? Like, should they not be arrested of harboring or what's the word? Being an accomplice? They are an accomplice to child abuse. Should they also not receive no criminal record or no warning? Like this is insane. But I'm gonna play on in this video. I don't want to jump the gun, so I'm gonna play on this video. We're gonna play some more videos covering the stories, and we gonna get into what's going on today. This is old news. I mean, it's old news. The fact that the Church of England is just full of child predators. We all know that. That's old news. So of course this was going to happen. But at the highest level, I'm sure no one would have expected this to come to this scale. It's just it's just one or two priests here and there. No, it's at the highest level. This institution is perverse through and through. And I'm going to show you even more perversions at the end of the episode. So y'all stay tuned. Stay tuned for this whole episode. Make sure y'all watch the full way through because good night. This going to be a doozy. All right, so I'm going to play on.
Birthday today. And
so okay, so like I know we played 2 more seconds, but so he got caught for covering up and allowing this child abuser to continue to abuse children. He resigns. And not only in his resignation, which is behind closed doors and very private with close friends and family, this, that, and the third, he's also going to celebrate his birthday on the same day of him resigning because he failed to stop abuse. He's celebrating his birthday. Like, what is we talking about? Again, your oppressor just when he gets caught up, he resigns. He gets put on paid leave. When you got caught up, you get the death sentence. You get life in prison. You get unalived by some police officer who just wants to, flex his muscles or do whatever. That's the fate you suffer. He gets a cushy retirement and throws a birthday party.
There is a lunch or some kind of gathering for staff and friends, but all very low profile, as you say. What happens now is that the most part of his official duties are taken over by Stephen Cottrell, who is the Archbishop of York, though there's a measure of the difficulties that the church finds itself in, that Mr. Cottrell himself faced calls to stand down because of his handling of a separate child abuse scandal.
What a surprise. What a surprise, the shock, the horror. Who could have saw this coming? I'm saying that the people, what one person steps down because they covered up child abuse, and the person who's set to take his position also is having calls to resign because they covered up child abuse. Like the whole thing, the third in charge is going to be guilty of the same thing. The whole institution, from the top all the way to the bottom, is just full of child abusers. Full of child abusers and perverse people through and through. Like, again, it's like you cannot have one without the other. You can't have, Christianity without child abuse. You can't have child abuse without Christianity. They go damn near hand in hand. They damn near synonyms. If you say you're a Christian, you're saying, oh, so you're a child abuse victim. It's like, every show, every TV program, like, we all know this. Like, it's to the point where it's a joke. Like, the Catholic priest diddles kids. Like, that's just what it's word association. Damn near. Not damn near. It's straight up word association. Christianity, child abuse. Is pretty. It should be. You could look up a synonym. You look up a thesaurus for child abuse, and you probably find something to do with a Christian priest or Christianity. Like, you should, because of how closely linked they are. But again, let me not spend too much time on this. This is just the intro. Salakia.
And in terms of a full-time successor, that is still many, many months away. Whoever they choose will have to somehow try to draw a line under this scandal and then pilot a church riven by division between progressives and conservatives into the future. It is no wonder, Lou, that many people call the top.
So they are now scrambling to try and hire somebody that can bring some trust back to the Church of England. But how do you can't bring trust? I mean, it's unfortunate to say that people still trust the Church of England after, it's just known to go hand in hand with child abuse. Me personally, I don't understand it because I'm in the ISUPK and I'm in the truth. So I could not back anything that has anything to do with child abuse. We don't, there is just absolutely no excuse. But of course, Christians are Christians, and nobody's perfect, and we all fall short, and they might have changed, whatever. It's just like I posted up recently about this Muslim who said that, let me not even go into that, but let me quickly. There's Muslim that said, if a man assaults and unalives a woman, it's her fault because she wasn't dressed modestly, and if he repents and changes, Allah will forgive him. Like what is we talking about? And they said he's being tested. That's Christianity and that's Islam. It's just assault just comes with the territory. Child abuse and the assault of women, it just comes with the assault of men. It just comes with the territory. And they saying
top job here at Lambeth Palace, a poisoned chalice.
And they saying the top spot at Lambeth Palace that's why they call it a poisoned chalice. It's called a poisoned chalice because that Christian church, the Church of England, and Christianity as a whole is full of poison. It's a cup full of poison. It's like in the Bible it calls it whited sepulchres. It's like a grave that you've painted white to look pretty, to look nice on the outside. It looks so nice on the outside, and they white, so of course they look so trustworthy and so holy because we've been indoctrinated to think that everything white is good. So the Bible says it's like a whited sepulchre. It's like a whited or sepulchre, I should say. It's like a grave that's been painted white. It's a poison chalice, meaning it's a cup that is so beautiful. It's a ceremonial cup. Like we have goblets in the school, but it's instead of being filled with wine or filled with drink or filled with water, it's filled with poison. That's what the Christian church is, and that's what Christianity is, because it's not of God. It's nothing to do with the Most High. It's straight up poison, and you drink it every day and allow your child to be abused. You still give your children to Christian summer camps because you're drinking from this poisoned chalice. So let's get into the first story. This is the story of John Smythe. This is the most prolific child abuser in the history of the Church of England. This is the story that Justin Welby, the Archbishop that just stood down, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the top position in the church, this is the story that he covered up. So let's get into it.
I'm John Smythe, and my background is as a British advocate.
This is John Smythe, distinguished barrister, friend of the Archbishop of Canterbury, and now deemed the Church of England's most prolific serial abuser.
Mr. Smythe, Kathy Newman from Channel 4 News. We're told that you beat young men until they bled. Why did you do that?
In 2017, we revealed that he groomed boys and young men at Christian summer camps, universities and Winchester College, before subjecting them to savage beatings. After our investigation, the Church of England commissioned an official review which started work in 2019. It sets out the horrifying scale of the abuse over several decades in the UK, in Zimbabwe and South Africa. It accuses church officers of a cover-up, and it's damning in its criticism of failings by senior church leaders, including the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby. The review, led by former Social Services Director Keith Makin, says that over a 40-year period, John Smythe became arguably the most prolific serial abuser to be associated with the Church of England, operating in 3 different countries and involving as many as 130 boys and young men.
So this man abused at least, it's like a minimum, as 130 boys and young men. He is the most prolific serial abuser to be associated with the Church of England. And this is the story. This is the man that Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, protected and is friends with, is close friends with him, because they're all abusers like him. It's part of the job description to be a priest, to be a part of anything of the Church of England is part of the job description that you have to either be okay with abusing children or abuse children. Because how else would all these stories be, so hidden and are just being uncovered? How else would all these, a priest be getting moved around from this parish to this parish to this church or whatever the hell? Like, how else? It's part of the job description, straight up and down.
30 boys and young men.
We're going to play on this video. I'm not going to interrupt too much because, of course, we have a lot to get through in this short hour. All right.
Former vicar Mark Stibbe endured beatings when he was at Winchester College in the 1980s. Some boys were beaten so hard they bled and had to wear nappies.
He had a new shed built that was soundproofed. I don't remember very much about it except nappies, adult nappies. I remember it being enclosed, claustrophobic. I remember feeling trapped. But I think the thing that I will never forget is my friend's suicide attempt and having to explain to his father why his son had tried to take his life. And I was trying to tell him, it's not your fault, it's someone else's fault.
Another victim is so traumatized he...
But let me tell you something. If you are a parent and you're bringing your child to church, it is your fault when they get abused. It is your fault when they get abused by the Christian pastor. It is straight up and down. It is your fault. Because you know the reputation of the Christian church. You know what they do. And so you give your child as a sacrifice. It is your fault. Also, shalom to Adolphus Last. All right. Yahweh Shem Yahweh.
Can't bear to recall the details.
I've seen...
He can't... Another victim is so traumatized he can't bear to recall the details.
I've seen 2 psychologists and a psychiatrist over the last 7 years and have complex PTSD. I try to remember the pain but I can't actually retrieve that from my memory. I've put the abuse somewhere where I can't remember it.
A vicar compiled.
So this man was so traumatized, he can't even recall the thing. Like, he's damn near, you know, when you get so traumatized to the point where you develop a split personality and you just have to damn near become a different person because you cannot actually continue to live with having gone through that. So you have to just forget everything beyond this point or prior to this. You just forget, and you just, you know, you just tuck it in the back of your mind. Like that's the level of abuse this man suffered.
A secret report about Smythe's abuse in 1982, but the Macon Review says senior members of the church participated in a cover-up of it. Within a few years, several bishops and very senior figures within the Church of England, or those who went on to very senior positions, including archbishops and Queen's chaplains, had got wind of what was going on. Author Andrew Greystone has spent the best part of a decade representing victims and trying to get the truth for them.
The sheer number of clergy who knew about John Smythe at various stages in the last 40 years is astonishing. Amongst those who are still serving, at least 5 bishops and 1 archbishop knew. Amongst those who are retired...
Good night. Good night. So he says the amount of people that knew about this man, again, the most prolific child abuser, it's like serial child abuser, the amount of people that knew about this thing is astonishing. Let's see what he says.
Is astonishing. Amongst those who are still serving, at least 5 bishops and 1...
So he says amongst those that are still serving, that are still in the Church of England, at least 5, which you know is far more. You know it's far more. At least 5.
1 archbishop knew.
People and 1 archbishop, including Justin Welby, knew about it.
At least 5 bishops and 1 archbishop knew.
So that's at the high level. He's 5 bishops and 1 archbishop knew.
Amongst those who are retired, at least another 4 bishops and 1 archbishop.
And amongst those who have, you know, been previously retired, at least another 4 bishops. And again, this is at least, at the minimum.
And then at least another...
And another archbishop. So again, another very high position in the Church of England.
Bishops and 1 archbishop. And then at least another 30 more junior clergy named in...
So it says at least another 30. So we have... Good night. Good night. We have at least, what, 40? It's like 39 or 40 people at the very least knew about this man and nothing was done. At the very least.
The Macon Review knew about John Smythe and his abuse over the years.
Not a single bishop has been formally held to account.
They say not a single bishop has been formally held to account. Not a single bishop has actually, you know, been properly held account. Like, if you're covering the most prolific child abuser, you are an accessory. You should be charged. At that point, the Church of England and the Christian Church should be charged as a grooming gang, because that is what they are. They absolutely fit all the criteria of a grooming gang. I should damn near look what is the criteria of being classed as a grooming gang. I should damn near look it up, but I don't even need to, because I know that's what they fit the description. From what I understand of what a grooming gang is, they absolutely fit the description. The Church of England is a straight up grooming gang.
This is not just a matter of a few clergy here and there, but this is people at the very highest level of the Church of England, this church that's supposed to be the moral conscience of our nation in many ways.
The Church of England is supposed to be the moral conscience of our nation, of Great Britain, of the UK. They're the moral conscience. This whole nation is immoral, so it makes sense that immoral people are the moral conscience of this nation. That makes sense. That makes sense. This whole nation is built on unaliving, on assaulting and stealing and all manner of crimes against people. It makes sense that the Church of England is fully immoral and that they're the moral conscience of this country. It makes complete sense. I don't know why he acting surprised, or why he acting like this, you know, this can't represent England. This can't represent the UK. This absolutely represents the UK. They're doing a fantastic job of representing exactly what this country represents. Hey, shalom to Officer Yako Wam. Hey, congratulations, other one. Yabashimi Al Shabarakata. Hey, congratulations. I seen your recent rank raise, other one. Mosiah Christ. But yeah, the Church of England, this absolutely represents what England and the UK is about. What your oppressor is about.
It's very distressing.
At the heart of the Macon Review is a damning indictment of failings at the very top, including the Archbishop of Canterbury himself. From July 2013, the Church of England knew at the highest level about the abuse that took place in the late 1970s and early 1980s. The Archbishop of Canterbury's personal chaplain, a priest, and the Bishop of Ely were all made aware of the abuse, and Justin Welby became aware of the abuse alleged against John Smythe in around August 2013.
Good night.
There was a distinct...
The Archbishop of Canterbury, the top position in the Church of England, knew about this from July 2013. He knew about this. How long ago was 2013? Good night. I got to do maths. That's how long ago it was. It's what, 12 years ago? Knew about this for 12 years ago and did absolutely nothing. And then when asked about it, we're gonna play it on. He absolutely lied and said he knew nothing about it, had no suspicion. They had no suspicion of how, it's just a straight up lie. That's just a straight up lie. We're gonna play it on the video. Hey, shalom to Officer Yassad, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabrakatah. Shalom, other one. Yeah, let's just play on. Let's see what he has to say for himself.
Lack of curiosity shown by these senior figures, and
it says there was a direct lack of curiosity, because they saying they unaware, but they absolutely did nothing. They weren't even curious about it, to look into it at all. Feigning complete
shown
ignorance
by these senior figures, and a tendency to...
And of course, it's going to read a tendency towards minimization of the matter, to say, oh, well, it's not that bad. And that is the Christian church, that they have, just no curiosity towards looking into all the vile things that go on. And I'm sure that person just making up in their head and whatever, this, that, and the third, to just cover up everything, and always a tendency towards minimization of the matter. And that is your oppressor. All the crimes he commits just gets covered up and minimized, and just no one just looks into it. Nobody.
These senior figures, and a tendency towards minimization of the matter. Here's what the Archbishop told us in response to our investigation.
I genuinely had no idea that there was anything as horrific as this going on. And the kind of story you showed on the clip, I mean, if I'd known that, I would have been very active, but I had no suspicions at all.
Of course, if he had known that, he would have been very active. Of course, if he had known about it, he would have been very active. This devil was clearly lying. Y'all seen that Dave Chappelle skit? This nigga was clearly lying. He was absolutely lying through his teeth, because the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Devil meaning deceiver. And you look at this devil, he is an absolute liar.
In that, I would have been very active, but I had no suspicions at all.
The Macon Review says this was one of many incorrect assertions.
And they say, even the way they say it was a lie is just so, it's so the oppressor. This was a black man. They said that he was clearly lying. He was lying. This is, he's lying. They say it was an incorrect assertion. Like just even think about the words that they use for when it comes to the devil, right? When we commit a crime or we steal, it was a theft. When they commit a crime and they steal, they're stealing to eat, and this, that, and the third. When we lie, it's a lie, and we should be condemned, and all this type of thing. When they lie, he made an incorrect assertion. Like, the language they use is ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And that enough was known to have raised concerns upon being informed in 2013.
Someone's got to take responsibility. He knew most of the victims. He is the most senior person in the Anglican Communion, and you cannot have someone in that position failing so spectacularly, not being held to account.
So he should resign?
I believe so, yes.
He should not only resign, he should be arrested and thrown in prison. That's what he should be.
Smythe left the UK
I'm
in
gonna let this video
1984
play.
for Zimbabwe.
We almost up on the time for this whole episode. I might have to split this into 2 parts.
And then South Africa, where he continued his abuse. The Macon Review again criticises Justin Welby for failing in his personal and moral responsibility to ensure the church authorities in Cape Town knew of the dangers. No fewer than 5 police forces here in the UK were...
And not only the Church of England, but the police force, of course, is involved. No less than 5 police forces were told about. What did she say? Police forces or police what?
No fewer than 5 police forces here in the UK.
No fewer than 5 police forces were made aware of this devil. No fewer, meaning at least at the very minimum, 5 were made aware.
UK were belatedly told of Smythe's abuse between 2014 and 2016.
No less than 5 were told about his abuse between 2014 and 2016. And again, they did nothing until Channel 4 did his investigation. And then, of course, they reopened one of their old cases. They reopened the investigation. And okay, well, let's look deeper into this case. Like, what is we talking about?
After our original investigation, Hampshire police reopened their inquiries. But in the very month they tried to contact him for an interview, Smythe died suddenly in Cape Town.
And in the very month they tried to reopen their inquiry, of course, this devil dies of old age. He's had a long and very, thorough life of abusing young children. You look at this man, he's, and this is from years ago. Look at this man, because he moved to South Africa and Zimbabwe to abuse more children because the block was getting a little too hot in the UK. He was just allowed to go over and do some what do they call it? Angelican, whatever the hell they call it, Angelican or something, work in Zimbabwe and Cape Town, South Africa, to abuse more children. And he unalived at whatever age he was, I think it was 80 something of old age, after a long and healthy life of abusing young boys and abusing young men. Like, what is we talking about?
In August 2018.
Good night. So that is the story that the Archbishop of Canterbury, that's the story the Archbishop of Canterbury covered up and lied about and is involved in. And that's why he stepped down on Monday behind the closed doors and hosted a private party to celebrate his birthday. Salaki. Let me just move on because we ain't got too much time. I'm gonna cover this story. So now we get to the second in command. And of course, you're absolutely right, Yakuwam. How convenient. How very convenient. As soon as they reopen their investigation, this man unalives, dies of old age, then the very same month. We're going to get to, this is the story that the Archbishop of York, the second in command of the Church of England, this is the story that he covered up. David Tudor. Let's get to it.
The Archbishop of York is facing calls to resign days before he takes temporary charge of the Church of England over his handling of a sexual abuse case. A BBC investigation has found that as Bishop of Chelmsford, Stephen Cottrell let priest David Tudor remain in post despite knowing he'd been barred by the church from being alone with children. Archbishop Cottrell says he didn't have the legal power to sack the priest until a new claim came forward in 2019 when he was suspended. David Tudor didn't respond to our questions.
Right. Of course, he didn't respond to any questions. And this man allowed this priest or whatever the hell to continue his job, even though he'd been barred from being alone with children. Like, imagine that. Again, this a Christian priest or pastor or whatever the hell position, bishop, all the way to whatever you are. If you're a Christian, just a Christian. A Christian and child abuse go hand in hand. Like, how can you be a priest or a bishop or a vicar or whatever the hell position he was? It's so much terminology. I don't have the time to look into all of it and remember it. But how can you be that and you have a pass and you're not even allowed to be alone with children? Like, what are we talking about? But let me know.
Our religion editor, Ali McBall, reports.
Let's go.
In 3 weeks' time, the Archbishop of York, Stephen Cottrell, is due to take temporary charge of the Church of England. But we can now reveal a case that raises serious questions about his judgment.
And the children
relates to this man, David Tudor, who...
It's like, let me refresh the
The Archbishop of York is facing calls to resign days before he takes...
to this man, David Tudor, who for 10 years was a priest under Stephen Cottrell, even though since the late 1970s, Tudor had faced allegations of abuse against children.
He abused his position of trust, and it's had a huge effect on my life. Having that huge secret pulled me away from my parents. I've lived with shame for 40 years.
Debbie, not her real name, says she was sexually abused by Reverend Tudor between the ages of 13 and 15. Her case and that of two other girls went to court.
He was abused by this devil between the ages of 13 and 15.
In 1988, and he was found guilty of indecent assault and jailed for 6 months.
So this man was found guilty of indecent assault against a minor and was jailed for 6 months. He was jailed for half a year. For one, he did, you know, he took a vacation in prison for half a year and got back out after he was found guilty of indecent assault on a young girl.
The convictions...
Again, this country has absolutely no justice. So the Church of England, they represent England so well. I don't know what that old other oppressor was talking about, like, oh, this is supposed to be the moral compass, the moral conscience of this country. They absolutely are. This is it. This is the moral conscience of England, the moral conscience of the UK. This is it right here.
Were later quashed on technical grounds, but subsequently the church found enough evidence.
So, and after he was found guilty, there was evidence that he did it. He did the crime. He abused these young girls. The conviction was quashed on a technicality. Your oppressor just gets out on all manners of technicalities.
To ban him from being a priest, but only...
Enough evidence was found for the Church of England to ban him from being a priest. So they banned him. They banned him from being a priest. But then what happened?
To ban him from being a priest, but only for 5 years.
They banned him for 5 years and then allowed him to come back. You go, okay, you're bringing a little too much heat now. I know this is what we do. You're bringing a little much too heat. You got to cool down for 5 years. You can't be a priest. You can't be associated with us for 5 years, but then you can come back. You know, that I'm sure that's enough time. People will forget about it because the Christians just are so forgetful. Christians are just so forgetful and so forgiving. They just turn the other cheek. They turn their backside around and allow themselves to continue to be abused. That's what Christians do. They turn the other cheek. And they're not talking about the cheeks on their face. They turn the other cheek and just allow themselves to continue to be abused. That's it. That's Christianity. That's what being a Christian means. You turn the other cheek. Yeah, I don't turn no cheeks. We don't turn no cheeks in the ISUPK. This is insane. This is insane.
By the late 90s, he was back as a vicar on Canvey Island.
And this reminds me of Salaka. We probably have to do this as a two-parter because, of course, there's so much more to go through. But this reminds me of a thing I watched recently with General Mahayam, and he covered Blackwatch, right? Where Tyler Perry was talking about his abuse and how he said his abuse made him successful, and he pulled this verse to say, what was it? It was like, all things work together, something, like as if he had to go through that child abuse in order to be successful. As if you have to be molested as a child in order to have any success in your life, or it's a trial and it's a test. Being abused as a child is not a trial and it's not a test. Your Christian pastor that abused you is lying to you. He's feeding you scriptures so that you accept being abused and you turn the other cheek.
Island in Essex, and for years moved through the ranks, though the church did say he couldn't be left alone with children. That's where Stephen
Hold on, I missed something. He was raised through the ranks
on Canvey Island, but only for 5 years.
So he was suspended for 5 years.
By the late 90s, he was back as a vicar on Canvey Island in Essex, and for years moved through the ranks, though the church did say he couldn't be left alone with.
So after those 5 years, he came back in the late 1990s, came back and rise through the ranks. Because of course he rises through the ranks. Why wouldn't he? He's a star example of what it means to be a whatever. He was raised to the position of honorary canon, which is somehow I don't know where exactly it ranks. Again, there's so many different terminologies that Christians put. I just can't be bothered to look into them that much. But he was raised to a high position in the church because, of course, that's what they represent. So of course he's going to rise to a high position. Of course he is. Of course he receives an honorary title because this child abuser is worthy of so much honor. So he's so honorable that he deserves the title of an honorary canon.
Children. That's where Stephen Cottrell comes in, made Tudor's boss in Chelmsford in 2010.
To share this service with.
This thing keeps freezing. It's gonna irritate me. Give me 1 second. I might just have to. Let me do it from because we ain't got too much time. I ain't got time for it to keep freezing. Let me do it this way. Give me 1 second. Which one are we on? The second one. David Tudor.
The Archbishop of York is facing calls to resign.
Through the ranks, Cottrell comes in. Through the ranks.
With you.
Well, within days of arriving here as Bishop, Stephen Cottrell was told about David Tudor's past and that he was a priest who was banned from being left alone with children. 2 years later, he found out that David Tudor had paid £10,000 to a woman who'd come forward to say he abused her as a child. But then, not only did David Tudor, under Stephen Cottrell, remain in post, he was made honorary canon of Chelmsford Cathedral.
Good night.
Archbishop Cottrell's...
That's exactly why I said so. So it was like, what, 2 years before he received that position, he paid out compensation to a previous abuser, to some abuse he did in what was it, the early 1900s. Some abuse he did real early on. He paid out, I think it was £10,000. He paid a settlement out to this young girl that he abused. And then 2 years later, he receives a position of honorary canon.
Tudor, under Stephen Cottrell, remain in post. He was made honorary canon of Chelmsford Cathedral. Archbishop Cottrell's office says it was a highly unsatisfactory and problematic case and that it was never open to him to revisit or take disciplinary action against David Tudor as there were no live or new complaints that had not already been dealt with.
Which is just an absolute lie. It's just an absolute lie. And okay, even if there was, you're saying, you know, there was no active complaints to raise against this priest, so you couldn't whatever. Like, why are you allowing him to still be a priest? For one, you can't take disciplinary action, okay, but why are you still allowing him to be a priest? Like, I don't. Why are you giving him rank raises in the Church of England? Like, it don't add up. It doesn't add up. Like, what are we talking about?
Or take disciplinary action against David Tudor as there were no live or new complaints that had not already been dealt with. But members of clergy are among those joining with Tudor's victims to call for Archbishop Cottrell to resign.
I think it completely undermines his credibility that this case was not acted on when he knew information at the time. How can you have the moral and ethical authority to lead an institution with that? You can't.
Again, they talking about how can you have the moral and ethical whatever the hell to lead this institution? Like, what are you talking about, woman? This is what the Church of England is about. Are you surprised? Nobody is surprised. Nobody's surprised by this. This doesn't shock anybody. The only shock is just how ridiculous the story gets. That's the only shock. The shock isn't that it happened. It's just how ridiculous the story gets. It's completely and utterly, like, you couldn't even fathom this, you know, you just couldn't fathom it. You couldn't fathom, like, a black person couldn't fathom it being guilty of these same crimes and just nothing happening to them, of them dying in old age. Like, you can't fathom it. It don't make sense.
So yes, I do think he needs to consider his position.
Only 2 months ago, David Tudor admitted sexual misconduct and was sacked by the church, but he leaves
Nice. So 2 months ago, which I think this story is about. It was covered like last month. So like literally just 3 months ago, he admitted to it. and was fired. Not arrested, not charged, fired. That's it. Again, a ripe late age, he retired. He retired, and I think when they suspended him, it was some suspension. Because I listened to the BBC did a whole story on this. It's like 45 minutes long. I listened to the whole thing and covered the story of it. I covered the story before of all the abuse this man did and how they covered this thing up, and they put him on paid leave. Like they paid for his lifestyle while he was on that suspension. I can't remember if it was the 5-year one. I think it might have been, or there was another one. But they paid for his lifestyle. You get put on paid leave, and then eventually, 2 months before he's ready to retire, or no, 2 months ago, so he's ready to retire. He admits to the crimes he did and just retires. Not gets arrested, not gets charged, there's still no reopening of the investigation. He just retires.
Difficult questions for those who for years allowed him to continue as a priest. Aline McBool, BBC News.
Well, our correspondent Harry Farley.
This person dropped that comment. Yeah, he says, I'm surprised this organization to how many kids they have run through. They run through kids like it's like nobody's business. And people still go to that Christian church and offer their children up as sacrifices. They offer up their children. Absolutely. If you are a Christian, you are offering your child up to be abused. There's no other, and he said it's still going. You damn right it's still going. There's no other, that's like knowing, that's like being friends with somebody who is a thief and is known to steal from people who he's friends with. But you're going to be his friend. You're sacrificing yourself to be stolen from. You're sacrificing your children's innocence. Their life is absolutely insane. And this whole organization needs to crumble into the dust and be a distant memory. That's what needs to happen with the Church of England and with Christianity as a whole. Christianity needs to be a distant memory. And it will be when Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians rule this earth under our king, a black man named Yahushua Mashiach. That's what will happen, man. Christianity and child abuses, this prolific, will be a distant memory.
Joins us now. And Harry, in the last couple of hours, we've had...
I'm going to just let this run because we damn near up on the time. And of course, I'm going to go to scripture breakdown class where if you have any questions on the Bible, you bring it to that class and we will answer all your questions. So you don't have to sacrifice your children to Christianity. That doesn't give you any answers anyway.
Further response of the Archbishop of York.
Yes, we have, and also further response from the Church of England's Deputy Lead Bishop for Safeguarding, Julie Connolty. She says that she knows of other priests currently serving in the Church of England who cannot be left alone with children. They are under temporary...
Salakia. I know I said I was going to let it play through that. Salakia. They say they know of other priests. It's not just David Tudor. Of course, there's other priests who are not allowed to be alone with children serving right now in the Church of England. Where was the investigation into them? Why are they still allowed to be priests or whatever position they have? Why are they still allowed to be honorary canon? Like, what is we talking about?
Measures that mean they can't be alone with children. But as you said, we've also had an updated statement from the Archbishop of York himself. He appears to reject those calls for him to resign. He says that when he became Bishop of Chelmsford in 2010, he was told in detail about the case of David Tudor. And he says that situation was horrible and intolerable. He says that he suspended David Tudor at the first opportunity, 9 years later.
And that the ambulance is in the video. It's not, it's not my crib, but he's gonna lie and say when I found out about this in 2010, it was a terrible thing and this, that, and the third, but I couldn't do anything. And he rejects the idea that he should retire. He rejects the idea because this is what the Christian church is about. Why should I retire? We're doing what we're known to do. It's like, this is going to happen. So what do you mean retire? Like,
in 2019 when a new victim came forward and a new police investigation was launched. He says the reason it took 9 years was because there were no legal grounds to take alternative action before then. He goes on to say that he is deeply sorry, and I quote, that we were not able to take action earlier, but that was the situation.
You know, he's deeply sorry we weren't able to take action earlier. This nigga was clearly lying. More liars, because the devil, the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of.
Situation he inherited. He says it's extremely sorry. He's extremely disappointing that this story is being reported as if an abuser was ignored or even projected. Nothing could be further from the truth, he says.
Well, it couldn't be further from the truth that a child abuser was protected and covered up. It couldn't be further from the truth. Right. I understand.
It actually suggests the framing in that way re-traumatizes already hurt people. It's worth saying that, of course, that we've put the details of this story to victims and, of course, the Bishop of Newcastle. She and others say that the Bishop of the Archbishop...
Yeah, and he's saying, you know, and framing it in that way that it was a cover-up is going to re-traumatize the victims. Shut. They spoke to the victim. The victim is saying, no, this isn't absolutely a cover-up because you knew about it and allowed it. What else could it be? He's saying it's... The framing of it being a cover-up is going to re-traumatize the victims. I can't cuss too much, I don't think. This is TikTok, this is YouTube, but y'all know what I'm gonna say. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Bishop of York, Stephen Cottrell, should have found a way to remove David Tudor from office sooner, and it reflects the crisis in the national church that just weeks after we were talking about the Archbishop of Canterbury having to resign, we're now speaking about his number 2, the Archbishop of York, and calls on him to also step down.
Harry, thank you. And you can listen to the full story in File on 4 Investigates on the BBC Sounds app. And
I truly encourage you to actually listen to that thing. I covered the story briefly, but I couldn't cover everything. But I encourage you to listen to this File on 4 investigation to show the depths of this thing. But with that, so like I ain't got too much time. We gotta get ready for the scripture breakdown class. Of course, bring all your questions, bring everything you need, bring all the breaks down you need, so you don't need to be abused and allow your children to be abused in that Christian church. Christianity, again, needs to be a distant memory. It needs to be a distant memory, and it isn't a distant memory without you, especially in the Black community. It's not a distant memory without you changing your life and finding the truth. All right, and to Commanding General Yohana, and the generals and all the brothers that held down this truth, the truth is available today. If you in the UK, come down to 394 Lodge Road, contact the ISUPK UK, and save yourself and your children from Christianity. Do it now. Do it now. Come to class. All right. And with that, I hope to see y'all again on Monday, where we'll cover more of this story, because, you know, there's just so much I can't cover it in an hour. All right. I hope to see y'all Monday. Tune in for the next episode of Real Time Revelations. With that, shalom to all my brothers. Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Barakatah, Yahweh, it's like Barakatham. And Yahweh Shema Alathan Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai to all my sisters, all right? Shalom, Lord in Christ.
I just float with it. Fuck what you did, I'm at your throat with it. You can learn something, take a note with it. Dedicated my life, I took an oath with it. For the blood of my brothers, we don't do no switching. I run with who I run with, ain't no clicking. Try me, do you done with no decision. Lead a scene like a Mack truck with 4 collisions. Polls everywhere, but they ain't gonna vote dissing. Coming at you live and direct, I don't do no dissing.